Okay, so let's move on to part 2 of the 3-part series I'm doing on the topic of trades. Today I'd like to cover what you need to discuss before your trade shoot. This means once both parties have agreed that they'd like to discuss trading together, what you need to actually talk about to make sure that your trade shoot goes successfully. Obviously, you'll need to discuss the concept. You want to make sure that you're both on the same page regarding what you want to get out of this shoot. It's never fun to arrange a trade shoot and then show up and find out that the photographer who you wanted to work with because of their very distinct style decided that they want to use this trade shoot to try out a new style, a new type of lighting, a new whatever. If that's the case, you need to know up front. So ask questions, be specific, tell them why you like their work and want to trade with them. Cover what you would like to shoot and figure out a concept that works for both of you. You need to be clear on where you're shooting, what you're shooting, just like you would every other shoot. Now for trades, instead of negotiating and discussing payment, what you want to be clear on is when and how you're getting the photos and how many. So make sure to ask the photographer what their usual trade policy is. It's important not to demand that you get all the photos, and especially not all the raw photos. It's very, very easy to irritate and burn bridges with a photographer that way. Chances are that they will probably cancel the shoot if you decide to insist on getting all of the photos. Photographers don't want to release every photo from a shoot, and you should not want to receive every photo from a shoot. What you want are the best images. So find out how many images the photographer offers. If he only wants to give you 1 or 2 from each look, and that's too few for you, you can ask if they'd consider giving you 3 or 4 if you really like them. But you should consider that you really should only have 1 or 2 images from each look in your portfolio in the first place. Any more, and it just looks too repetitive. So 1 or 2 images from each look should be sufficient. What you also want to find out is if they'll be sending you unedited proofs that you can preview and request certain images, or if they'll be making the selections themselves. It's up to you to decide if you're willing to shoot with a photographer who will be making the selections themselves. I do it occasionally when I'm trading with people who I particularly trust, have worked with before, and know that they will select well. But if the photographer seems to have hit or miss selection, you might want to ask to have a hand in the selection process, or perhaps even rethink trading with them in the first place. Regardless, it's important to know how those decisions are being made. Additionally, you will want to talk to them about how long their turnaround time is. If they have a several month-long backlog and you need photos next week, there are going to be problems. So you need to know ahead of time how soon you can expect the photos. Now, if you've done the trade shoot, sent in your pics from the proofs, and the photos haven't come within the amount of time that was negotiated, it's appropriate to send a polite inquiry somewhere around a couple days to a week after the expected date. Just say that you're checking in since you were expecting the photos as per your agreement, and that you'd like to make sure the photographer is okay and everything is going well. You don't want to be a nag or make accusations, but it's entirely appropriate to keep up to date and make sure that those photos will be sent to you. With that in mind, you also want to check references with prior models that the photographers have traded with. References are not only for paid shoots. When you're checking references for trade shoots, ask questions specific to trade. Did they trade with that photographer? How did it go? Did they get back the expected images? Were they happy with the images? Did the photographer stay within the agreements that they and the model made? Make sure that this photographer has a track record for returning images in a timely manner. If you check references and all of the models who've traded with them say that they got great photos but they took 2 to 3 months longer than it promised, that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't trade with that photographer, but it does mean that you shouldn't expect the images to come in the amount of time that they told you they would. These are all important things to consider. As always, feel free to send me a message or leave a comment if you have any questions, and check in tomorrow for the third part of this series about trades. See you next time.